Now, not only do I have this fancy-dancy graph here, but if I go over here to this data link, there's the actual data that went into producing that graph. And I can very easily get that data out of the system. I'm going to export it. I'm going to take it into Excel. So now in Excel, I can do my own calculations, my own projections, my own graphs, whatever I want to do. As easy as it is to get to the data, it's also just as easy to customize this. So let me go into customize. Right now I have the last 10 years of sale price median. Well, I don't want the last 10 years. I only want the past 12 months. In addition to the sale price, I want to add a statistic, so I'm going to go to the advanced options, and I want to add another statistic. I could add any of these statistics, but I want to add list price median. And I want them to look the same, so I'm going to make it smooth line. Now when I generate, it's going to give me the list price and the sales price for just the past year. So now I've created a new statistic. So I can come over here to save. I can call it whatever I want. And here's where, if I wanted to, I could put it on that gadget on my home page so that any given time I could click on it and get up to the minute statistics. Now I'm running statistics on the entire MLS, mainly to show you how fast the system is. But who cares about the entire MLS, right? Except maybe the board for something that they need to do a report on. You guys want statistics on something specific, correct? If I come up here to search, I can get statistics on anything I want. A certain zip code, a certain city, 5-bedroom homes, waterfront properties, whatever I want. I can even go as far as going to the map. And this is where I think the real power of the statistics come into play. You guys sitting in this room, you're experts on your market. Guarantee. You pull into a certain neighborhood, you know off the top of your head. Houses in here, they're selling for like $300,000. This is a really hot market. Houses are moving quick. You drive down the road in another one of your areas, you know right away. Houses in here, they're selling for like $1.50. You can't give a house away in here. Nobody wants to live here. You know all that. You're an expert in your market. But what happens all of a sudden when you have a client that wants to live somewhere that you don't have that expertise? You can go in the system and make yourself an expert on any part of the MLS. Let's say I work out in the west side of the state or the north side of the state, and all of a sudden I have a client that wants to live here in Providence. I know nothing about that market. I can set that. I can go in there now, and when I generate statistics, it's going to be just on that market. And I can see, oh, houses in here, they're selling for about $250,000. I could go back and run the 10-year one. I can see what it's been doing in the last 10 years. I can run any of these statistics or any statistic I've created and make myself an expert on any part of the MLS. And I can share this information. I can email it. I can print it so I can share it with my client. Now, I always tell agents, if your client asks for something like this, wait 5 or 6 hours to send it to them. Make them think you're spending that time crunching numbers, but seconds you can do it. So not only can you use the statistics to educate yourself, you can use the statistics to show value to your clients. The value of a realtor, the information that you have at your fingertips. So anyway, I think the statistics are really, really useful, and they're real easy to use. The next tab we come to, My Matrix. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Statistics are not available through the client portal?
Absolutely not. This is agent information. Correct. My Matrix is your heart of the system. This is where your contacts are, your searches, your customization of the system. So this is also where your homework is, to customize the system before you start bringing your contacts in. So we're going to go through this tab right before we go to break. My listings, pretty self-explanatory. Here's all the different categories of listings, your office listings, your firm listings. But there's something buried in here that I wanted to point out. My hit counters. If I had any listings, it would show me my listings here. And then it would give me some really neat statistics. How many portals is that listing on? How many emails has it gone out in? How many people have it saved as a favorite? Some really neat statistics to share with your client to show them the exposure that their listing's getting. Now this isn't going to be super exciting when you go home today because people haven't been using the system, but come February when everybody's using the system, there's going to be some pretty impressive numbers. It'll really be good to show your client those numbers. The next tab, tax, that's your access to Realist. If you click on that, it'll open the Realist application and you can do all the Realist information that you're doing today in Realist. Finance is links to some financial calculators like amortization, net proceeds, buyer's closing costs, just some financial functions. Input, you will not have an input tab when you go home today, right? All inputting between now and the end of January has to happen in Fusion. But whatever change you make in Fusion will be in Matrix within 15 minutes. So you're not going to have that tab when you go home today. But I know a lot of agents get real anxious about going to a new MLS system. Oh, I'm not going to know how to get my listings in. I don't know what to do. So I'm going to give you a preview from another account of how input works in Matrix. And like I said, I've been traveling around the country for 3.5 years converting people. And I want to tell you right now, the people that I've trained, those agents, you guys are going to love Ad Edit in Matrix compared to Fusion. You know how in Fusion everything's in one column and you have to scroll up and down looking for your fields? Matrix we're going to set up like your input sheet, your profile sheet, with the fields going across the page, divided into logical sections so you don't have all that scrolling. Now there's 3 ways that you can start a listing. The way you're going to start 99% of your listings, fill from Realist Tax. You're going to pick the county, you're going to put in the street or the owner information, and you're going to pull up all the tax records and put them in the listings for you. That's the way you're going to start the majority of your listings. The second way, you can fill from cross property. What that means is you can copy another listing. For example, let's say you've been renting a property for a client. You've been leasing it for them for the last 3 years, and now they want to sell it. Instead of having to retype everything, you can copy your for lease listing into your for sale listing and then just change the specific information. Or let's say you have a unit in a condominium, and now you have another one. Instead of having, most of the information is going to be the same, so you can copy that information and then just change the unit-specific information. And then the third way to start a listing is with a completely blank listing. The only reason I could think you would do that is if the property's so new, there's not even a tax record yet. But typically you're going to go and you're going to pick the county that the property's in. You're going to put in the owner or the street information. You're going to pull up any tax records, and you're going to pick the right one, and you're going to populate. So there, just populated all the tax information. Now what we're looking at here is a different account. So they don't have the same fields that you guys have, but it's the same type of format we're going to follow. The yellow fields are your required fields. They're going to be the same required fields as you have in Fusion. These pick list items are going to be the same pick list items that you had in Fusion. So you're going to be putting the same information in that you were going to put in Fusion. It's just set up a lot nicer. It's a lot easier to use. It's a lot easier to make changes, because today if you want to make changes to remarks, you have to scroll all the way down and look for the remarks. All I do in Matrix is I go over to the remarks tab. There's my remarks, what I want to change. So it makes it a lot easier. when you're inputting your listing, you're going to need to map the listing. So you come over here to this link, get Latin long from address, click, and Microsoft is going to map your property. Now, I'm sure all of us from some time in our lives have gone to MapQuest or Google, typed in an address, got driving directions, followed those driving directions to a T, and didn't end up where we thought we were going to, right? It's not 100% correct. You need to check where Microsoft mapped it. If it's not right, you need to fix it. Oh, speaking of remarks, before I go to that, today you can put 255 characters in remarks. Once you can start entering listings, is 255 characters enough?
No.
How about 1,500? Will that work? Once you can start entering listings into Matrix in February, you'll be able to put 1,500, up to 1,500 characters. See, that was enough to sell you on it, right? If this isn't mapped right, you need to fix it. To fix it, you come down here, set lat long manually. It's going to open up and it's going to show you where Microsoft plotted it. Now, if this property is actually located over here, you need to fix it. I'm going to show you later in class how to search by map, by drawing shapes on the map. Lots of agents are searching that way. Even more consumers are searching that way. And if this house is actually over here, and somebody wants to live in this section here, they draw a shape, they're not going to find your listing because it's mapped wrong. Even if everything's 100% correct in the listing, they won't find it. So you need to move it. You need to identify where it is. Then you come down, place new pin. This is it right here. When you click to set the pin, it's connected to Realist, so it's going to tell you the address, who the owner is. Once you have it right, click on Done. Now in the MLS, it's mapped properly. Now when you get all done putting in all of your information, you can come down here and click on Submit Listing. If you click on Submit Listing, everybody in the world is going to see your listing. And I do mean everybody in the world. Immediately, all the other agents are going to see your listing. Immediately, all of their clients on their portal are going to see the listing. The third-party vendors are going to come pull your listing, put it on the internet for the whole world to see. That's what happens if you click on Submit Listing. When you guys can enter listings into Matrix in February, I want you all to submit every single listing, save as incomplete. Even if all of the information is there, save it as incomplete. Because in Matrix, while it's in the incomplete state, where only you can see it, you can upload all of your images. You can upload your supplements, your attachments. Then go back in and make it active, submit the listing. That way, the first time anybody sees it, all of your marketing material's there. Do you guys realize how important that is? I can tell you as a consumer how important it is. When I bought my house in Austin, Texas, I had access to the system, so I set myself up for auto notification. As a consumer, if a listing came over to me without pictures, delete. I don't have time to look at every single listing that matches my criteria. If the agent didn't care to advertise it, I wasn't interested. When you're uploading your photos in Matrix, you're going to be able to upload 40 pictures instead of 25. How many pictures do you think me as a consumer wants to see on every single listing? 40. That always reminds me when I say that about this little lady sitting in front of one of my classes. When I said that, she looked up at me and she said, "Oh, honey, you know, it's one of those fixer-uppers." Who Who cares if it's a fixer-upper? You're not kidding anybody. When they get to the property, they're going to see it's a fixer-upper, right? If it's a fixer-upper because there's holes in the drywall or it needs flooring, that's what I'd look for, because I can fix drywall, I can lay tile, I can lay laminate. Maybe it's a fixer-upper, but there's upgraded fixtures. Or there's nice mature trees in the backyard. Or there's a babbling brook at the end of the street. Market your properties. You guys know better than I do. Years ago, it used to be you'd get a client, you'd put them in your car, and you would take them and show them the houses you wanted to show them, right? That ain't the way it works anymore, is it? They come to you, they tell you, I want to see this house, and this house. How do they know what they want to see? You're the realtor. They've been on the internet. They've been looking at the properties. Market your properties. Uploading photos again with upload. Yes, ma'am?
Do I understand that with the new system, we'll be able to upload high-res?
High resolution. The question is, do I understand I can upload high resolution images, right? You send us the biggest image you can send us. We're going to crunch it down, so it loads quicker in the system, but the better image you send us, the better your finished image is going to be. It's also really easy to move your images into different locations. It's not all glitchy like Fusion was. It's really easy to move them around. You can also, while I'm thinking of it, you don't have to pick out of a pick list for what the picture is. You can write a little narrative. This beautiful living room does blah, 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 blah. Yes, sir.
In the videos?
Videos,
Uploading videos?
uploading videos would be the same as you do today, virtual tours.
Actually, they will have the ability at some point, you'll have the ability to upload your own at some point.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you don't have that ability?
Yeah, right now, we're doing it for them. So they submit them through a link or via email, and then we'll upload them. But
Oh, yeah,
they'll be able to do that on their own.
Yeah, that'll be as easy as adding a field that you just put in the URL. One other thing just to mention about Add Edit is when you're changing status. In Fusion, you go to change something to sold, you put sold at the top, and then you scroll all the way down to the bottom and look around trying to find the sold fields, right? In Matrix, when you're making a status change, it's only going to show you the fields relating to that status change. So it makes it a lot easier to not miss a non-required field because you couldn't find it in the list because it's going to be right there in front of you. Anybody scared about Add Edit? You all just wish it was open today, right? So that's Add Edit. Like I said, if you get used to using Matrix today, the only thing that's ever going to change is Add Edit coming over at the end of January. But there's nothing to be scared of. Your question, sir?
One more thing, just to be clear, add edit function will be available on an iPad, right?
Absolutely. I would never use a paper form once you can Add Edit in here. I'd take my iPad and I'd walk around the house and go, yep, it has that. Yep, it has that. Put it right in the system as you're going.
No, I mean versus where we are today that we can't add edit on an iPad in the Fusion system.
You can do whatever you want in Matrix from any device, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. There was a question. Yes, ma'am?
As long as you don't put in the list date, is it going to always save it as incomplete as well?
Well, it won't let you. It won't allow you to save it as active.
Right, but it'll automatically.
No, it'll say you're missing required fields if you try to make it active. But saving incomplete, it'll save it without that, yes. All right, again, you will not have an input tab when you go home, so don't look for it. It'll show up February 1st, I believe is the date. Yes, ma'am?
You put a listing in before, you prep a listing, and you save it as incomplete. How long does it save for? How many days?
Incomplete listings, I believe, save for 14 days. If during that 14 days you go in and touch it, you go in and resave it as incomplete, that 14 days will start over again. All right, the next tab is market reports. These are where your production and inventory type reports will be. Help, there's some help topics out here. There's some Q&A type things. There's some short video tutorials here on specific, subject specific, like searching, or stats. Links are just a bunch more links that the board put out here to third-party sites. Now, if you go to Matrix on a small device, your phone, the system's going to recognize you're coming from a small device, and it's initially going to give you a mobile-friendly version, one that's formatted for your phone, easy for you to use on your phone. There's two things on the mobile version that I want to point out to you. Number one, up top here, you have your speed bar. Now, you don't know what your speed bar is right now, and you won't if you don't stay for the whole class. It's the second last thing I'm going to show you, and trust me, it is really, really cool. It is going to blow your mind, guaranteed. But just remember, even on your teeny-weeny device, you have your speed bar. The other thing I want to point out is this link down here, full site. If I was to click on that on my teeny-weeny device, I would get the entire application. And I could do anything on my phone that I could do on my desktop. Now, that's what the sales guys told me when we acquired Matrix. I'm not a sales guy. I'm a trainer. I have to stand in front of you people and tell you the truth. So I wasn't about to take somebody else's word for it. So I actually went and entered an entire listing on my telephone. I don't recommend it. It's not a lot of fun. It's a lot of scrolling and zooming. But that was enough to prove to me that I could do anything I had to do from any device. And I do mean any device. I've had people in my class that have had a Kindle, I think it's called, a book. They could access Matrix just fine on it. The gentleman that introduced me to Matrix was running it on his Wii, his gaming device. If you have an internet connection and you have a browser, you can get to the MLS from any device. Yes, ma'am?
Any issues with specific browsers?
Nope. Any browser you want to use. Just pick your browser. I think the Wii uses Opera or something. I don't know. But no, any browser you want. I use Firefox. One of my other trainers uses Google Chrome. People use Internet Explorer. It'll work on anything flawlessly. And your iPad entering a listing, that's how I would enter a listing. It's not like trying to do it on your phone. Okay, let's go into My Matrix. First thing we're going to talk about is contacts. Again, all of your contacts are going to be here. As long as they had a first name, last name, and email address, they'll all be here. Now, your contacts aren't going to be real exciting, the ones that came over, compared to once you start working with them. But notice, every contact has a portal. Every contact has a card, automatically. Now, once you start working with a contact, the system automatically stores away everything you do for that contact. Everything your contact does. So for example, here's portal activity. This is showing me how often Jessica goes to her portal, what she's done on her portal. I can click on any of these and see what she did. So I know how active Jessica is. Portal searches. Remember we said Jessica can make up her own searches? There's her search. There's her criteria. I can look at her results either in Matrix or in the portal, the way she's seeing them. So again, I know everything Jessica's doing. Any auto emails I have set up for Jessica. Any CMAs I've done in Matrix for Jessica. CMAs never move between applications, so your CMAs will not come over. If there's a CMA that you need to maintain that you have in Fusion, you'll have to recreate it in Matrix. Any sent emails, any emails I've sent Jessica. So I don't necessarily have to copy myself on every email that I send out of the system and then get it in my inbox and file it away into folders. Because if Jessica calls and says, hey, I want to talk to you about the email I got on December 2nd, I go, oh, there it is. Okay, what do you want to talk about? Open it up, It'll show me the email. Down here at the bottom, you can add a contact right from here, but I'm going to show you a couple other places you can add contacts to in the system. Yes, ma'am?
So, excuse me, our clients are gonna get emails from us that look like our email address that.
Yeah, if they respond, it'll say it came from you, and if they respond to any of those emails, the response will go to your primary email box. All right. Next thing we come to my listings. We already talked about that. That's the same as that tab there. My information we're going to come back to last because that's your homework. Sent email, my CMAs is any CMAs I've done in Matrix. Sent emails is all the emails that went out of Matrix, whether it went to a contact or just someone's random email address. Let's talk a second about searches. There's two different kinds of searches in Matrix. In Fusion, they all went into this Save Search Manager. In Matrix, they're broken out into two different buckets. Auto emails and saved searches. Auto emails are the ones that are working for you, the ones that are notifying your client. Whether they're concierge mode or not, they're auto emails. Save searches is a search that's just sitting in Matrix waiting for you to log into Matrix, click on it, and run it. So if you're looking for one of your searches, you need to know, is it a saved search or is it an auto email? So you look in the right bucket. Now we brought all of your searches over for you. All the searches that you had in Fusion, we brought them over into Matrix for you. We brought them all over as saved searches. Because if we had brought the auto emails over as auto emails, all of a sudden your client would have started getting two emails. One from Fusion, one from Matrix. They wouldn't have known what was going on. You wouldn't have known what's going on. So they all came over as saved searches. So part of your homework over the next month is to activate those searches in Matrix. In order to activate them, if you come under Save Searches here, it'll show you what contact it was connected to and the search name. You'll go to the one that you want. You go to Settings, and right here, this link, turn this Save Search into an auto email. So what I would do with any searches you're bringing over, you're activating, is I would log into Fusion, run the search, see how many matches you get. Log into Matrix. Make sure you got about the same amount of matches. If it's off by one or so, it's not a big deal. That's because of that 15-minute delay. But if in Fusion you have 47 matches, and in Matrix you have 22, there's a problem there. But 99% of them are going to be good. But identify if they're good. Then when you know it's good, turn it off in Fusion, turn it on in Matrix. So that's your homework. Now, if you get a new contact this weekend, a new auto email, set it up in Matrix. Don't bother setting up in Fusion, because any of it, in case anyone in the room has any false misconceptions that Fusion won't really go away, you're wrong. Fusion will be gone the end of January. So start getting used to Matrix. Like I say, use it as your MLS starting today. And the last thing before break, your homework. My Matrix, my information. This is the information that came in from Fusion. Originated with your member record. You can change any of this information for use in the system. For example, this may be your formal name.
We're missing the whip.
Just throw it out the door. This may be your formal name. And maybe you go by a nickname. You can change it. Or maybe you have a special cell phone number that you only give to your clients. You don't want the board to have it. You can change it. Down here, we even give you some extra fields. Tagline, additional information that you can put in anything you want. Because whatever's in here is what's going to be available for your mobile header and your portal information. That'll become clear in just a second when we get to those. Next tab, header and footer. This is the header for your portal. We give you a bunch of different templates. You can pick any of these templates. Or you may have noticed I have this fancy dancy one across the head of my portal. You can, if you'd like, upload your own header. So if you go to upload images, here's where you would upload it. Here it tells you the size of the image to upload. Now, if you don't know how to make something like that, if you know an 8-year-old, they will. So get with your kids, your grandkids, the neighbors. Seriously, if you want to do one, you'll be able to find somebody to help you, or Google, how do I make a header? Now, you don't have to, right? You can pick one of those templates. You don't have to create your own. But keep in mind, every email goes to a portal. It's some nice advertising space, but it's totally up to you. If you scroll down, you also have the ability, if you'd like to upload a header and footer for printing. So when you're going to print out a report, you can check the box and say, hey, put my header and footer on it, make it look fancy. It's up to you. Mobile header. What someone is going to see that opens an email goes to your portal on their phone. You can upload your photo. You can change any of this information. But you'll notice your choices here to change it to came from information. So if there's something you want on your mobile header that's not in this list, you need to go back to information, put it in there, then come back and it'll be available. Same with your portal information. The portal information is what goes here on your portal. So again, you can change or add to it, but again, it needs to be in information. Yes, sir?
Will there be an individual app so they can just have the app on their phone and just go?
They don't need an app.
Your portal? So
They don't
how
need
do
an
they
app.
get to the portal?
Once they get to their portal the first time, they can bookmark it. They can save it as a favorite. Then from then on, make a little icon.
Okay.
And then when they click on that icon, it'll open right up for them. There's no need, nobody has an app. There's no need for apps. It's just a website.
Okay.
And your last part of your homework is your email signature. Your email signature did not come over from Fusion, so you're going to need to set it up in here. You can always copy it in Fusion and then paste it here, but you can put hyperlinks in, you can put photos, you can bold, italicize, change fonts, set it up however you want. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you start using Matrix is you'll want to go to My Matrix, My Information, and configure how your clients are going to see the system, how your emails are going to look. Okay? Does anybody have any questions about anything we've gone over? Yes, sir.
Now, let's say for the sake of conversation, all of your searches you go through prior to sending it to the client. So every one of those searches would go in Concierge?
If you want the ability to look at what's going to your client before it goes, you would set all of them up in Concierge mode. It's a totally optional feature, but yes, you could set up every one. We have one account in Canada that they don't have a choice. The only way they can do auto notification is Concierge, because their board feels if the agent isn't seeing them first, then they're just spamming their client. You guys have a choice. You can either put it in Concierge or not. That's your choice. There was another question? Yes, sir.
How long will this stay open on a device? I know that we currently have only a certain amount of time that we're leashed.
The timeout that the board had us set up was an hour of non-activity. If you're working on it, it'll stay open forever. But if you're not doing anything for an hour, it's going to make you re-authenticate.
Do we have a vote on that?
You can with your board. You know, it does, if I remember right though, it keeps you right where you were. It just pops up, okay, authenticize again, and then you're right where you were. But an hour, and you know, that's done around the country. In fact, that's one of the longer times because of security. I mean, that's open, that's the MLS. That's your confidential data. And especially in an office atmosphere, if you walk away from an office computer and you left it logged on, whoever comes and sits down has access to your listings and everything else. So you want to get in the habit of logging out.
Just
Yes, ma'am.
comment very quickly on that. We wanted it to be 15 minutes, and actually you guys asked us for, you know, and that's kind of where we compromised on. So I would have to say probably no, we can't vote on that anymore.
Any other questions about anything we've gone over? Yes, sir.
I just want to know on the safe searches, do all of them come over, even the ones that are not active right now?
All of them will have come over. So if you have a bunch of old stuff there, you can go check them off and there's a delete button. But all of your searches, even your ones that have expired, they all came over again. Yes, ma'am.
How's all this information backed up? You know, in case the system crashes?
Our system doesn't crash. 75% of every realtor in North America uses Matrix.
Wow.
75%. And we have all kinds of redundancy and protection and everything else. I mean, you can imagine if our systems died, 75% of all real estate would be gone. Trust me, we have plenty of safeguards. You don't have to worry about your data. And you don't have to worry about your data being confidential. We don't share your data with anybody. Your contacts are your contacts. There was another hand? Yes, ma'am?
When you're doing a search for a client and they want you to look for single family as well as a multifamily, or single family as well as...
We're going to talk more about searching, but I'll answer that real quick. Under search, if you come down to cross property, you can say, okay, they're looking for either a single family or land or this or that. Or you can say, I want to know in a certain subdivision or a shape on the map, everything that's available, whether it's multifamily or whatever, you use a cross property search.
But what did they look at? Because the problem in the past has been when you put them on a cross property search, they get, instead of a single family information sheet, they get an abbreviated one.
What's different with Matrix compared to the other systems, not just Fusion, but most of the other MLS systems in the country, is we have what, okay, let me try to explain that. Each property type in the other systems, like Fusion, was a different file. Like this was your residential file, this is your multifamily file, because each of the different property types have different fields. In Matrix, there's one property, cross property. Every listing is in that one file. So that one file has all of the fields.
So they look the same then?
They look exactly the same, because your residential, if you looked at our file, the residential file has all of for a residential listing, that file has all the multifamily, the commercial, all that in there. They're all blank because it doesn't apply to that, but everything's in one table. So you'll be able to see, the cross property, you'll be able to see a lot more fields than you used to be able to see in other systems.